Here is the adjusted and interspersed adaptation of the passage What's Great, family. It's Beam J back with another video, and this time I needed to separate what's the deal with dollar CISA, dollar SPY, dollar THECU, and 2 or 3 different tickers. I need to separate what's going on with the financial schedule going into tomorrow, what's going on in the news including Tesla, and what you ought to look for. I'll give you folks my cost expectation for later. Before I likely do this, let me discuss the diagram for Tesla and these different tickers. On the whole, several things I'm by and by not a monetary organizer, so take nothing I say as monetary exhortation. Additionally, in the event that you folks can, kindly look at the Webull Connect, which is down underneath in the depiction. Assuming you pursue Webull and store $500 into the record, you're insured 20 free stocks. Assuming you store $25,000 or more, you're insured 75 of them. The proposition closes very soon, in only a long time. In any case for Tesla, as may be obvious, this thing is attempting to hold over this $160 support. It's been improving from that point forward throughout the previous 2 days. For this to push higher, you need to see this group attempt to break out much higher over the high of the day. Our next target will be as far as possible up around $177 to check whether Tesla can get up there. In any case, regardless of whether Tesla pushed somewhat higher, I simply need to caution you all that this $177.10 won, so about $180 we will generally have some close obstruction. Thus be extremely cautious as Tesla attempts to draw nearer to those levels since it has dismissed off those levels ordinarily previously. Thus, as Tesla's oncoming some close opposition, I need to separate a few alerts I have about the market, what's going on with this information and such, before I separate more insights regarding these diagrams. However, we should initially discuss this. For later, it will be Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. We have a few exceptionally minor information emerging, the business good faith file in the Red Book year over year, all before the market opens. All exceptionally minor information may not actually influence the market a lot. However, at that point at 10 a.m., that is, when things become serious, as we have the financial hopefulness list report emerging. This is significant as far as we're concerned to comprehend how the ongoing feeling is searching for the economy. Then at 11:30 a.m., we have the 42-day charge closeout, and afterward the 3-year note sell-off at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thus, that is in New York time, coincidentally, and this all could influence the market somewhat. Every one of the information will be incredibly minor again for later. However, this is simply paving the way to something gigantic on Wednesday, as we have CPI information emerging on Wednesday. Thus, a major move is coming to the entire market for Tesla, and so on by Wednesday. Tuesday is simply setting us up for that. With regards to different elements, I simply need to get down on that there's not actually anything happening for profit. We simply have as WD40 for later. We have Delta and a couple of others, yet Friday is when things become serious, as we have JP Morgan Pursue, we have Wells Fargo, Darkstone, City Moderate, and a lot of others. In this way, be ready for large profit by Friday. Going into the trepidation and eagerness record, this is at present at veracity right currently, as we're beginning to see a ton of purchasers stepping in. Different markers are at eagerness hitherto, yet the puts and calls situating is beginning to become non-partisan, as we're seeing more puts being purchased. Market unpredictability is as yet non-partisan. The VIX is plunging a little nonetheless. It's still over the 50-day moving normal. In this way, there's no sign that the VIX will tank a lot of lower from here. It really relies on how it responds to the 50-day moving normal, and in the event that we could hold above it or not. For Tesla, we have a few new bits of information emerging. 3 of Oklahoma's most memorable EV charging stations will be Tesla superchargers, which is uplifting news for them. Oklahoma supported more than $8 million in government assets for Tesla and 2 different organizations to assemble the DC quick chargers along into the intrastates, and that is, amazing news for them. The 3 organizations will give a joint $7 million in confidential subsidizing and match to construct 13 consolidated DC quick charging stations. That is all together with all the other things. In this way, that is uplifting news for them also. It's wonderful to see Tesla growing in different pieces of the USA, and this will be uplifting news for them. On top of all of this, there's likewise this news that is quite huge. Tesla has settled the case about the lethal autopilot crash. In the event that you all missed it, there was an Apple engineer. Fundamentally, there's this extremely appalling value, this auto crash that wound up occurring. Catching wind of this is exceptionally terrible. This was Walter Huang who died, a specialist from Apple, and what happened is his family wound up dispensing that the autopilot guiding in his 2017 Model X into the Parkway was one reason why. In this way, they wound up documenting an extremely significant claim against Tesla, which wound up going to unrivaled courts in California. Notwithstanding, reports are saying since there has been a settlement, we have close to zero insight into the particular terms yet. They're not revealed, however, that is large information and some uplifting news for Tesla, which could really further develop things. That is a decent piece of information that emerged, so we'll find out how things turn out. I likewise need to take note of that my sympathies go out to everybody that was impacted by any mishaps for any vehicle, regardless of whether it's a Tesla, and everybody that was engaged with this case. Thus, I need the best for everybody will perceive the way things go pushing ahead. There's likewise some large news that emerged with Elon Musk. He is anticipating that computer-based intelligence will be more intelligent than the savviest human 1 year from now. That is an extremely striking case. Presently, Musk's expectations are known for not being right. He will in general be extremely ahead of schedule with these assessments. However, I really do concur with his point that computer-based intelligence is growing extremely rapidly, and computer-based intelligence will ultimately outperform human astuteness in various habits. Could I at any point say in each and every way? I can't say it at this moment for the present. However, I really do have faith later on there will come when AIs are a lot more brilliant than the larger part of people, while perhaps not even the savviest of them. Furthermore, I feel that artificial intelligence are simply proceeding to get increasingly savvy and develop increasingly more over the long haul. In any case, regardless of whether it's 1 year from now is not settled as of yet, we'll perceive the way numerous years it takes. Be that as it may, for the present, we'll see what occurs. However, the beneficial thing about this is that Elon Musk is exceptionally hopeful about man-made intelligence. This is perfect for Optimus and the Dojo supercomputer, and by taking in every one of the information together, this will assist the robots with getting to the next level. Furthermore, become increasingly wise. For volume, we saw around 104 million in volume, well better than expected, as Tesla is skipping. Likewise saw short volume dropping a piece, as Tesla's acquiring some strength. And afterward also, Morgan Stanley gave Tesla an overweight rating, trailed by, the cost price proportion sort of being down here. Tesla is as yet not that solid contrasted with the market, as it's still extremely distant from its unsurpassed high, though SPY and the QQ are relatively close from their unequaled highs. That is the reason Tesla is looking somewhat more vulnerable, Yet, what is great is that Tuesday will in general be green around 51% of the time, and Tesla's on a momentary little skip pattern, so this could go on over the long haul. Irregularity showing greater unpredictability at 11 a.m. and furthermore at 2 p.m. Along these lines, we'll check whether this prompts additional changes. So we saw a few additional huge orders emerging. We saw a ton of sell and furthermore 2 or 3 purchase orders, so sort of blended right currently with regards to inside exchanges. Presently, the inquiry is, what will happen to Tesla pushing ahead? I need to discuss that rapidly. Thus, quick forward here, we will discuss the graphs. What do I see on the graphs for the business sectors? Tesla is looking somewhat more bullish as of the present moment, making new records all around, and we have a bullish wedge. That is prompting this little breakout here. Along these lines, I see potential for Tesla to attempt to push much higher towards about $177.10, not $180. Furthermore, we could begin to rearrange up here before we return. That is the most probable chance. In any case, in the event that we lose the 50 EMA on the hourly time period at $171, search for a drop down to $167.80. That's what's more. Assuming you lose, watch $164.524 for. Assuming you break this, we could push higher, so we'll need to find out how things turn out. I likewise needed to add that here, we might draw out a decent wedge that is similar to shaping very much like this. Furthermore, regardless, this is paving the way to a decent improvement as we're getting increasingly tight for an expected break to the potential gain as we fill this lopsidedness. Thus, as I would like to think, Tesla's looking a smidgen more bullish. It leans toward the bulls somewhat more, essentially for the really present moment. Okay, for the really present moment, indeed, it seems as though the CH will push somewhat higher. We could become up to about $175 in the event that not $177.60, $180. However, the issue is the general pattern is as yet negative on Tesla. This thing has been making these lows here. Along these lines, you need to be cautious in light of this. And afterward, on top of all of this, remember that we have CPI for Wednesday. So regardless of whether Tesla pop a tad tomorrow, things could change relying upon CPI on Wednesday for the whole market. Anyway, you need to be exceptionally cautious regardless, okay? In this way, my perspective on Tesla, ensure you watch support at the levels I called out. We have our significant EMS here. We have obstruction at $175 to $180. We could wind up opening up near our 200 EMA at $172.600. We might go as high as $180 before we return, so I view that as logical. Tesla will test some intense obstruction, and a push is extremely plausible. For SPY, we're seeing some teeth.